Now, do you have anything time-stamped? I have a rough idea of where the stuff is in the scanner audio, but...
No.
Okay, that's fine. And I was going to do that show prep, but just getting carried away with the kids and things here at home. We can fire from the hip. We'll do just fine. Let's see here. Got that. We can do share screen, share audio. Okay, so we're on. All right, here we go. Well, thank you for joining us here at Tyrant Slayer Studios. Many of you may already know the infamous Andrew Pritchard. He is joining us here once again to bestow upon us some great insight, some tremendous perspective, and give you a little update about what's happened to him as of late with local law enforcement, the very same local law enforcement that's responsible for illegally seizing his property, his house, correct me if I'm wrong, $3.5 million waterfront property here in Norwalk, Connecticut?
Well, just so it's away from me, the bank valued the house in their foreclosure thing at $3.4 million.
Okay.
In 2018, and the market was up from there. But I don't. It's $3 million plus.
This is a very tremendous case. It's very serious. There's a great length of public servants being charged in association to this case. And on April the 7th, there was an issue.
Could I just interject one thing?
Sure.
What he's saying about this being a significant case, I don't want people to think it's significant because the house is a $3 million plus house. It's my home. It's just as significant if it was a $250,000 house or $150,000 house.
28 years plus at this residence.
Correct.
All right.
My home. It wasn't an investment.
You raised your children in this house?
Will continue to.
Yes.
Everything. My grandchildren will be there, yes.
Okay. So now, on April the 7th, this past April of 2023, despite what's been going on and other developments that we've kind of been trying to keep you up.
Good Friday.
You got it. And a good Friday of all Fridays, April the 7th, 2023, there was an issue down on Sylvester Court. 9 Sylvester Court, and a complaint was made to the Norwalk Police Department, and dispatch, seemingly, according to procedure and policy, dispatched some officers. And what we've done here is we haven't prepared much of it, but we do have a hard, tangible, original copy of it that we're going to finger through here with you folks tonight, of the radio communications between dispatch and the police who responded to this complaint. And Andy, I think, if I have this right, you have more information to corroborate what's been going on. And do you have a police report or something to that effect?
I have the police report that they put together. I don't have the body cams. I waited for a while, and I requested the body cams actually footage today, which I formally did. Also CCing the Department of Justice, U.S. Marshals, FBI, so forth and so on, just to make sure that they stay on top of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because the head of internal affairs has somehow lost body cam footage of other things at my house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, isn't that interesting? It's actually quite commonplace. We see it a lot in the independent journalism community here on YouTube. We see it a lot. It's like far too much. I mean, any bit of it is too much, but we see it's as commonplace. It's commonplace for police and internal affairs to, the audio was corrupt, or the video has been corrupted, or we've just lost it. We don't know what happened to it in chain of custody. And then they just walk away like, that's fine. It's okay. We're police. Have a good day. But what we're going to use here is Broadcastify. I don't know if anyone knows of Broadcastify. This is not a sponsorship. I'm not sponsored by Broadcastify. But for all of the radio nerds and the tech junkies out there who are into radios and things of that nature, or just following police scanner frequencies and emergency response teams around, this is a great tool that you could find at broadcastify.com. Again, I'm not plugging them. This is not a sponsored video. It's just a useful tool that the people can use at their disposal. I have a subscribed account, which gives me the ability to go into the scanner feed archives and pull up April the 7th, 2023, which I'm looking at now. And, maybe if you want to dive into the police report now, or just kind of open up to what you experienced that day while I cue this up for the audience. Andy. Oh, we might have lost Andy. I think he's got a...
No, I need 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah. No, that's fine. Andy's got some things going on at the office, if you will, and we're going to let him do his thing. We're going to dive into the scanner audio. Funny, a bit of information about this is I was just home tending to the 4 wonderful boys I have here, my children here, and I was notified through the YouTube notifications on my cell phone through an audience member on one of the videos featuring some of the debacle that took place at 9 Sylvester Court on August the 29th, 2022, involving, I think it was over 70 Norwalk police officers. A total misuse of force, abuse of power. I mean, the whole nine. There's no justification for any of it. But basically, oh, hang on, I got an issue. My kids are trying to break into the studio. Stand by. Okay, I apologize for that. So where was I? Scanner feed. We're going into the scanner feed. Norwalk's been basically ruining this man's life. And we can delve into the reasons why in another show. But basically, we're going to disclose to you what happened on April the 7th, 2023, with the very same law enforcement agency that's been violating all of our laws left and right for quite some time now. So without further ado, and whilst we wait for Andy, I'm going to go ahead and cue this up for you. Give me a moment. I'm looking through all the times now. Let's see if anyone at home is interested in following along and actually does subscribe for a premium subscription at Broadcastify. You would look up Norwalk Police in Connecticut, go to their live stream, and then click the archives, and it'll bring up this little list. We're going to go from 3:48 p.m. to 4:18 p.m. That's when the call comes in. So we're going to open that up in a new tab. There we are. Pause
Sorry about that. I'm back.
That's perfect timing. Timing is everything. I'm just getting this queued up now. If you'd like, give the people an idea of what you experienced, what was going on prior to any sort of engagement with law enforcement on your end, and kind of just give them an idea of.
Let me give you a quick overview. First of all, obviously they've seized my property, and the whole bit is if I get near the property or step on the property, they're going to jump all over me, right? This is what they want, right? Now I'm suing them now because of this latest incident for as much as $236 million now. We've worked it up to, okay? And it didn't start out there. It started out with nothing and then worked its way up because of all the different things they've done and so forth and so on. Anyway, what happened is I was visiting some friends. I come out and I basically see cars in my driveway, so forth and so on. I don't go on the property. I just take photographs of everybody that's trespassing because I'm throwing them in the lawsuit. Anybody steps on that property, you're guilty. That's it. I don't care if you're working there, you're cutting the lawn. People are going to know because they're going to get served immediately with papers and everything else. So I took pictures and then moved on my way. As I was leaving, the new fraudulent buyer who purchased it on April 4th, supposedly, um, uh, drove in. And I took a photograph of his license plate and him coming towards me from the driveway. I never once set foot on the property, ever, ever. And as a matter of fact, I've been down there and taken photographs in other places around there. In every photograph I have, you can see that I'm taking it from the road and it's either magnified or whatever.
Well, to just clear the table and clear the air right now for anyone who's kind of looking ahead and being presumptuous here, did you ever step foot on the property?
Never.
Right. Okay. So that's very clear.
Never.
Did you make any sort of threatening statements to this man in this sort of visual encounter you had while he was operating a vehicle? And was there any sort of
the only thing that I said to him is he came towards me very strongly, and I said, who are you? The first thing that happened was he said to me, he goes, Andy, you need to give this up. You need to give this up, Andy. You got to move on. And I go, I'm not moving on.
So he created he created the engagement verbally.
Yes. And then I said, I'm not moving on. This is my property. And I said, who are you? And he goes, well, I'm the new owner. And I go, well, can you save me some time? And can I have your name? Because I'm going to sue you. And
I'm sure he didn't take kindly to that.
Then he said something to the effect of like, you don't know who you're messing with, something like that. And I said, look, I'm not going to get into it. You want to give me your name? Otherwise, I'll get it sooner or later. And with that, he didn't say anything, and I started walking away. There's a video that he has that supposedly has gone into evidence. I haven't seen it yet. But anyway, that's
Oh, really? Okay.
Nothing never on the property.
All right, and now police. What happens between that point and what's kind of taking place at that time, and when the police arrive?
Here, I'll read exactly what went down.
Perfect.
All right, let's see. On April 7th, 2023, Good Friday, I was falsely arrested for criminal trespass and resisting arrest by 7 to 8 Norwalk police officers. I was in my neighborhood of 28 plus years visiting friends. At 3:10 p.m., when leaving one friend's house to go to another, I saw a black SUV up against my hedges, which I took a picture of for my records of trespassing. I also saw a white Chevy pickup near my garage and took 2 pictures from the end of my driveway while standing in the street. I saw guys working on the front door and went down the street to be able to get a better picture of them when magnified and zoomed. Just as I finished taking the picture, a new blue Ford Explorer ST pulled into the driveway. I hurried back around the corner to get to the end of my driveway where it meets the street to magnify, zoom, and shoot a picture of the license plate. That was at 3:34 p.m. based on the time of the photos. A man got out of the car and started walking towards me at the end of my driveway, holding his phone as if I was being put on video. He said, "Hey, Andy, you need to give this up. Andy, just need to give this up." I stood my ground in the street and said, "Who are you? You're trespassing on my property." The man said he was the new owner, and I said, "Great. Can I get your name just to save time because I'm going to sue you for being a complicit participant?" He said something to the effect, "You have really screwed up. You're messing with Sibilia." And that wasn't quite clear. But Sibilia is the real estate broker. Then the man started to accuse me of harassing him. I told him that I was doing no such thing. I was in the area visiting friends. He said he was going to call the cops, and I was walking away from him to put stuff in my car and head to my other friend's house. During this time, he had his video on. The encounter with the complicit new owner was all over by approximately 3:40. So 3:34 to 3:40.
Mm-hmm.
At around 4:05 p.m., 2 to 4 Norwalk PD were on my front yard speaking with the man. And around 4:10, 5 to 6 Norwalk PD were at my friend's back door asking for me. Some of them were positioned at the bottom of the stairs and some were located on the handicap ramp. I came out saying that I did not want any trouble. They told me I was under arrest for criminal trespass. I declared that I never set foot on my property, and this is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That's impossible, or words to that effect, because I never stepped foot on my property. At this time, I am tightly surrounded by 4 Norwalk PD with vests and guns getting physical. Norwalk PD tells me they want to have the witness identify me. The 4 Norwalk PD muscle me down to one end of the handicap ramp, still surrounded by 4 officers, and have one of the workmen pictured at the front door identify me from 80 yards away with 2 Norwalk PD leaning over the workman. I said, that is bullshit. Check the man's video on his phone, because the guy had videotaped me the entire time off the thing. At this time, 6 Norwalk PD surrounded me. And I said, that is bullshit. Check the man's video on his phone. At this time, 6 Norwalk PD surrounded me. I dropped my coffee mug and papers and said, I do not want to be cuffed with my arms raised. Norwalk PD grabs both arms and cuffs hard enough to cause bleeding on my wrist. Police photo has been taken. That's in evidence. I continue to state that I do not want to be cuffed and that I am not resisting. Which by law, they can't cuff me, and they're supposed to let me just be fine. I stated over and over that I needed to be uncuffed due to a past shoulder injuries. The police let me suffer. I was booked based on the time of arrest at 4:56 with a $50,000 bond, which is excessive and absurd. Please note, one of the officers, while I was in the cage, stated that he saw the man's video and it showed that I did not touch my property. I have learned that the man is named Thomas Luthi. He is a complicit participant in this racketeering enterprise. His crimes are too long to list here. Norwalk PD continues to commit treason and abuse at the highest level. Justice will come in time. God bless America. That's what I wrote up.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, I've got this queued up here. It's very interesting. I've listened to this in its entirety, just for a little spoiler alert here. It's very interesting, the contrast of what the dispatcher says and what you've actually experienced.
Yes.
And then there's, if you'd like to add any other spoilers before we dive into this, now's the time. Or we can actually talk about it in between communications, too, a little bit while I dig some stuff up.
2001 Charlie.
Yeah.
Going to be at 9 Sylvester Court. The former owner, Andrew Pritchard, is threatening the current owner, saying he owns the home and he is free to come into the house whenever he wants. He's walking around the premises now. He's wearing a black Carhartt jacket and a backwards hat.
Now, before we proceed further, what can you provide us comment on that? I mean, like,
yeah, the backwards hat is a hat that says Gregory Point. It was given to me by my friend who I was visiting where they got me with the police.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, no, I never stepped foot on the property. I didn't threaten anybody. Those are all ridiculous and stupid, just nonsense. And
false narrative. It's typical police narrative nonsense.
No, let's not all get on the police with that. That also came from this corrupt owner. Now, just so you, quote, new owner, just so everyone knows, to also help with this that aren't connected to this, if you look up 9 Sylvester Court, Norwalk, Connecticut on Realtor.com, you will see that the last transaction was February of 1995. As a matter of fact, that was Valentine's Day. That's when I bought the house. If you look up my house on Zillow, who uses records from town hall, scrapes, and things like that, you will see that there's a transaction in 21, and then there's a transaction on April 4th. Okay? Now, why is there this difference? Well, see, Realtor.com uses what is known as HUD filings, which are mandatory clean titles, everything else, every lien, everything is clean and done. And it's you no matter what transaction you do in real estate, you have to file with HUD. Okay? None of this stuff's legal. There's been no money changed hands. None. And I honestly think that the guy that's got this house now is just another corrupt guy, but a more senior corrupt guy was freaking out because I was coming at him so hard. So they're kind of trying to bury this thing down.
Well, yeah, presumably they don't come across very many lions, and you're the first in probably their career.
Now, just so you know, this is from the police report. Mr. Luthi reported no threats of violence were made to him and only that he would be sued and done for. So, Mr. Luthi, who tells the police dispatch that I'm threatening him and doing a war dance on my front deck, okay, says in the police report, Mr. Luthi reported no threats of violence were made to him and only that he would be sued and done for.
All right. Well, with that said, I want to open up with that dispatcher again. Do we have a name on this dispatcher, Andy? No. Not yet? Okay, we have to get a name on her. She needs to be reprimanded. And we got a FOIA request, the actual phone call he made to police to see if he actually does say you're threatening him, because if he did say that to dispatch, you would think he would be inclined to sign a sworn statement to that.
Well, there's more about that. And, they didn't have statement. Well, we know.
Right. Yeah, we hear that in the audio.
Yeah.
1 Charlie West.
2 Bravo 2001 Charlie. It's going to be at 9 Sylvester Court. The former owner, Andrew Pritchard, is threatening the current owner, saying he owns the home and he is free to come into the house whenever he wants. He's walking around the premises now. He's wearing a black Carhartt jacket and a backwards hat.
Roger. Roger. 7 Bravo, you go.
7 Bravo, go ahead.
Well,
You can show me clear from the fire and then route to that straw hill.
Roger.
Give me a 1 in chat if the audio is good.
Headquarters to 43.
yeah, it's good.
All right.
45.
I'm on West Rocks Road. Just have those units staged by Great 5th till I get there. And I'll explain.
All right, I want to pause that too. So he wants responding units to stop at some intersection, Gregory and whatever, someplace to stage someplace away from the threat that they're responding to, right? He wants responding officers to stop and wait, and then he'll explain why when he gets there. What do you make of that?
Okay, we had 55 plus to 70 cops in my house. They've seized my home illegally. They're being sued for, at that time, about prior to this, it was $170 million. Okay? Everything about this is treason. Everything about this is just domestic enemy. So what do? They set this up. I mean, I actually am terrified that if I was out on the street by myself, would they have shot me and planted a gun on me?
Oh, yeah, the whole approach is different if you're in a motor vehicle.
Yeah, everything. I mean, there's so many different things that could have happened. Now, what we're talking about, no, not trying to offend anyone with this. We're talking a $3 million waterfront home at the very end of a beach community, at the very end of a point where there's a club and everything else. This is not, people go and walk their dogs there and things. This is not like a hostile area. You don't need to stage anything. It's one guy.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they get together and they're going to have a little powwow about how this is handled.
Right. Stop the response to the threat, quote unquote, from dispatch. And hey, let's go have a little meeting over here. I'll explain everything while we're there. Yeah, we can't have that go over the radio.
By the way, this emergency threat and everything else, they don't show up for 20. I mean, I'm in watching like the Masters golf thing, I think, or something. I'm not a golf guy, but I was in there talking to my friend, and then we see him roll out onto the front lawn, all geared up.
I'd like to clarify, if anyone in the audience might be able to assist, it would be fantastic. I'd like to clarify if whether or not the Police Accountability Act of 2020 or any of the other laws that have passed here in the state of Connecticut associated with police accountability require the police to run their body cam from the moment they enter upon a call or a response, or if it's only when they're in front of and engaged with the individual in their report, whether it's the suspect or a witness or what have you. Does the law actually require them to start rolling? You're responding. All right. Where your speed is being recorded, whether or not you have lights and sirens on is being recorded. Everything should be documented, right? So when they had that little powwow, what I'm getting at is if that law requires them to do that and they had this little powwow, if you will, we should be able to FOIA request what it was that they were talking about.
These are all great things, and yes, have they done something wrong? Yeah. What are you kidding me? There was at least 6. There were more than 6. There were anywhere from 6 to 9, 7 to 9 cops. Mm-hmm. Okay. I didn't resist a thing. The people are terrified down in my neighborhood now. Mm-hmm. I have one couple that's lived there that are moving away because of what has gone on. They're selling their home quickly. Other people that have witnessed this stuff do not want to speak up or don't even want to get near me because they're terrified of the retaliation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they might as well just pick up and leave. And when they do that, what's Norwalk PD going to do when the majority of the tax base that funds the entire police department there leaves town?
There's somebody else that comes flying in. We're talking waterfront properties and stuff. And clearly somebody makes up the story. It's like, they made up the story that I was an axe murderer or whatever when they first came in there. They,
Roger.
I mean, we can keep going. We can listen to more of this dispatch, but the main
it's bizarre, really.
Really, not to waste people's time. There's no reason for staging other than that they are staging the assault.
Right.
Okay? And there's no timing. There was nothing there where they were concerned about the claimant who says I'm literally on the front porch doing a war dance. Mm-hmm. I mean, are you kidding?
Were you charged with resisting too, or interfering?
Yes, I've been charged with resisting arrest, but supposedly the $50,000 bond. This gets really good.
Oh, that's another whole show. Just the bond.
That's an absolute everything about that. But in the police report, where does it say here? Communications advised complainant Andrew Pritchard was at the property. Communications immediately. Let's see. Oh, this is great, and this is the one of the bad guys. Sergeant Delalio, DELALLO. Okay. He's the one that issued the $50,000 bond on Good Friday, right? But this is the guy that called everyone to be staged. Okay, he's a bad guy.
Wow, he's the conductor.
And here's what the arresting officer said. Based on the history, Sergeant Dallario advised he would be en route and advised responding officers to stage at Gregory Boulevard and 5th Street. Now, here's where it gets good. There was a history of Pritchard going to his property due to the fact that he was the previous property owner. I've rarely been down to my property. Rarely. I mean, honestly, because there's no need. I'm doing everything legally. I'm just like, okay. When I go and visit friends, I'm down there in the neighborhood,
28-year resident. I mean, you were
2.5 years. I'm the oldest living person down in that whole point. Anyway, in terms of years of living there, not the oldest in terms of age. At this point, this is what gets great. Pritchard was warned several times to stay away from the property and subsequently arrested by Sergeant Kruger on August 29th, 22. That's a lie.
What?
August 29th, 22 is when they seized the property.
Exactly. And that was after. Let's remind everybody who's following that story that they left without taking any action, with their tail between their legs, even claiming they didn't have enough legal knowledge or precedence to proceed in evicting you on May the 30th?
May 31st, they left, and nothing had changed. They would come back on the 29th and do this routine. Right. So those are all, they're all lies. They're just lies. And I mean, it's just one lie after another. But now,
and the lawyers repeat this stuff. The state's attorneys just get up and recite it word for word.
We can get in, we can go further into the dispatch. Here's the real story. First of all, they had a gentleman who barely spoke English identify me from 80-something yards. I never was on the property. He was scared out of his freaking mind because he had cops all around him. And the guy that pays him is sitting here saying, tell him, identify that guy, identify that guy. And it's, you know, as a matter of fact, when they went to the police station, I was falsely arrested because they had no sworn statement. Mm-hmm. They had no sworn statement, and they had to go back to try to get a sworn statement, and they didn't get anyone. Now, according to this police report, they made up this thing that he was Spanish speaking, so he didn't do anything. And then supposedly later he's given an affidavit, but they don't have his full name, because I'm dying for this guy's full name, because when I get his full name, he's another one that I get to sue. I'm like, you've just ruined your life in America, pal.
It's terrible.
Everything about it is a false arrest. And I was to completely, you know what's amazing is here it is, once again, Norwalk PD had an opportunity, right? And basically they could have had, quote, this new owner. By the way, that new owner had only been an owner since April 4th, okay? It's April 7th. How many times have I harassed the guy? Right.
He's been at the property for 3 days.
I've never even.
They act like you're sleeping on the sidewalk out there with an axe.
Where do you come up with this stuff?
They're cops, man. You'd be surprised how creative these.
No. Listen. These guys are just following other people's orders and stuff. What's really sad is they're not recognizing what their oath is.
Well, see, I think many might fall into that category, but I think on the contrary, many actually make the conscious decision to violate their oath and challenge us while we're filming them to do something about it. We see it every day. Yeah, whatever, buddy. I don't care. Go ahead, call the department, file a complaint. My badge number is blah, blah, blah. Do whatever you want. Now I'm going to slam you to the ground.
just to sort of summarize, to go back, Norwalk Police Department had an opportunity right then and there where they could have played down the abusive behavior of having more cops than anyone's ever had in terms of a civil foreclosure, which the police are not supposed to be involved with.
To be honest, they should have shown up with a social worker for you, to be honest, if they were in compliance with laws, procedure, and policy.
Yes. But the point is here on April 7th, on a Good Friday, they could have rolled in and said, Mr. Pritchard, listen, this guy's calling. You got to stay away from here.
Right. You got it. You got your photos. Just don't go on the property. Right. Don't eat yellow snow.
Put on the show for the guy.
Right. And keep the peace. Right. And de-escalate.
As a matter of fact, I told the quote new owner, I said, if you do decide to call the cops, I'll be in my friend's house, which he even says in the police report, or it's even over the dispatch. The owner says he's in his friend's house.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not I wasn't running from anybody. I'm like, you got to be kidding. Like,
And did they actually step foot onto your friend's property to apprehend you?
yes.
All right. There's a whole nother element of a problem
No,
there.
but I'm not doing that with my friends. My friends,
Right. Of course not.
my friends are terrified.
But I know my audience that is so inclined will be keen to that sort of secondary problem
Okay.
there. You know, I
My
just wanted to
friends-
mention it.
My friends are terrified.
I can imagine.
Guys, you're not getting this. I mean,
Well, then again, it goes to the testament of when was the last time you actually felt safe with a police officer behind you? People are terrorized by the police just driving to and from work. They see a cop behind them, and instead of feeling like, "Oh wow, I feel safer," they're like, "Shit, what am I doing wrong?"
When I was in the car and they didn't uncuff me, which I have a shoulder that separates because of past sport injuries, and I said, "This is great. It's popping out. Thank you." Anyway, I said to the cops, the officer, the arresting officer that had me with him, I said, "Why are all your cop cars black?" I said, "What happened to like black and white cars or blue and white cars or white cars? Why you guys all look like you're mobsters, man?"
Stealth.
Like, ooh.
It doesn't seem like safety when they have to hide from you to keep you safe.
I'm just like, yeah, why aren't you out in the open?
Right there. And I'll explain.
You know, let me say something to just to let some people understand something about resisting arrest thing. And I'm not trying to get macho here. I'm just trying to be factual. Okay.
Sure.
I'm an ex-jock, ex-hockey player. Okay. So
Your nose has been broken at least a few times.
no, actually, believe it or not, that's a thing of pride.
I started looking close. It's hard to tell.
My nose has never been broken. Now, here's the thing. If anyone who's played puck knows, if you can scrap on skates,
Oh yeah, you got your
can
feet
scrap
planted.
on the ground.
You got some leg work.
Right. So I'm sitting here going like, there's nothing. What contest? What struggle? Where? With what? Resisting arrest.
Well, it's like when they slapped assaulting a peace officer on me. When I never even got an opportunity to face any of the the aggressors who assaulted me, the judicial marshals. I sustained a concussion. You know.
Now, not to show you how absurd everything is, but to go just away from this sort of, this is in the weeds kind of stuff, but it just shows the level of abuse that the police are.
Well, yeah, there's a general sense of a degree of relativity in everyone's personal individual experience. There's always a common ground with the absurdity, the ridiculous lies, the false narrative and allegations that all culminate into what ends up in a state's attorney's hands before a judge charging against you. And you're completely innocent. It's the most overwhelming traumatic experience any citizen can possibly be ever asked to endure and come out feeling good about it. It's an impossible task, and it's inhumane. And what's happening in the judicial, it's making money off of this. The private prison systems make money off of this. They make careers out of this. And it's got to stop. And, you know, I think of almost all of the cases I've been made aware of in my time as tyrant slayer here in the world of the internet and local, you know, I do affect people's lives locally. I do help a lot of people. You of everyone I've met seem to be distinguished in the manner of which you present yourself and your arguments and the merits behind said arguments to the courts. And I think you've got a great opportunity and tremendous potential to be successful in your quest for justice, which is why I've brought you here. And I want the audience to get behind you. I want everyone to understand that you don't hate all the police. We don't hate all the police here. This isn't, hey, let's bag all the police.
No.
Right. We're not doing that. We're not going to get lost in those weeds. But we do have to stop for a moment sometimes when it's appropriate and put light on the general degree of relativity that everyone has in their own individual experience. They all relate through that obnoxious, completely false allegation that is sometimes a felony that can land an innocent person in jail for 3 years if they get that public defender, because that public defender is tired and should have retired 15 years ago and has been on the job for 35 years and thinks
they're
that
part of the game, man. They get paid. They get more of the cases.
they're burnt out too. Come on, you got to consider there's a percentage of them that really don't realize they're doing something wrong and don't think they're playing a game. They're just burnt out. They're evil.
I think you're giving too much.
Maybe.
The system is so corrupt here in Connecticut. It's frightening.
Mm-hmm. Let's dive into
just for the audience, so everyone knows, in terms of my story, just real quick. City Mortgage Inc. valued my house foreclosure, or they called it pre-foreclosure, in 2018 at $3.407 million. Okay? That's what they valued the house at. The dispute on my house was over $200,000. That's what they claim I owed them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I own the house outright. As a matter of fact, I've never had to do a credit check until after I was removed from my house. But to rent a place, I needed to do a credit check. And it turns out that on all our credit reports that went all the way back, we didn't even have a mortgage on there. It doesn't even, it's not even registered because it was all paid off. Anyway, forget that part. So basically, you're looking at a situation where over $200,000, they've seized everything and threw me out on the streets, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's not okay. Even if it's 200 grand, then there's a lien maybe, but this is just simple right and wrong. This is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because of how the system works and everything, see, everyone keeps dancing around and hoping for a good judge. All these judges are in on the game. It's all controlled by the banks and the banksters and everything else. That's how it works. Okay. And what I've done is I'm attacking the judges. I'm arresting the judges. And just to give you an example, I just had returned from the clerk. Okay. It showed up in the mail. Look where the address is, by the way.
Ha! How can they trespass you from your own address?
So this is the court sending me back my habeas corpus that I filed. Now, a lot of people don't know what a habeas corpus is. A habeas corpus is simply this. It's a right to get before authority for an injustice. Okay? And a constitutional violation is such a thing. It's not just about getting someone out of, like, criminal out of jail type deal or something like that, or stopping somebody at death row. Anyway, just so we all know, there's laws involving a habeas corpus. There's nothing to stop a habeas corpus being submitted. It's a constitutional right, both U.S. Constitution and state of Connecticut.
Yep.
Now, here's what's even more interesting, which I filed, which was part of my habeas, okay, is this is from Connecticut, Bunkley versus Commissioner 222, Connecticut 444-460-61, 1992. The principal purpose of the writ of habeas corpus is to serve as a bulwark against convictions that violate fundamental fairness. That's Connecticut ruling. Okay. Now, here's another one in Connecticut. In certain circumstances, a petitioner's claim of constitutional violation is so inextricably bound in the issue of effectiveness of trial counsel that a separate claim of constitutional violation is not required. In other words, I don't even need to state what the issue is. I just need to file the habeas. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then Supreme Court. This is the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court. Pro se pleadings are to be considered without regard to technicality. Pro se litigants' pleadings are not to be held to the same high standards of perfection as lawyers. Okay? So I could do it in crayon and submit it. Okay, habeas corpus, and they have to take it. Now you say, do they really have to take it, Andy? Okay, I'm not going to go into the federal laws, which go to 1 to 3 years if you don't take the habeas corpus, the violation. Okay. But if you are to look up, let me see here, Connecticut General Statute, CGS. That's what Connecticut General Statute, CGS.
What is it? What is it? What's the number?
Section 52-467. And let me read it to you. Now, they watered this down because they didn't want it. The federal one is 1 to 3 years in jail, so you know. Okay, so just understand that you're getting 1 to 3 because you've broken a federal law. Yeah. But here's the Connecticut one. This is Chapter 915, okay, of our laws is titled habeas corpus. And the section 52-467, punishment for refusal to obey writ or accept copy. If any person having the custody of a body of anyone directed to be presented to the court or to a judge by a writ of habeas corpus duly served fails to present the body according to the command in the writ or refuses to accept the copy of the writ offered in service or in any way fraudulently avoids presenting the body according to the command or having presented the body does not make return of the cause of detaining the person in custody, he shall be guilty of contempt of court and may be punished for contempt by the court or judge by the commitment and shall pay to the person so held in custody $200. I didn't receive $200 from this clerk. So now they violated the law. Now, just so we know what's in my habeas corpus is significant charges. I mean, it's literally 2 pages of charges. And let me tell you who's being charged, because then now people will get a sense of stuff. Chief Justice of the Connecticut Supreme Court retired, Chase Rogers. Superior Court Judges Gennario, Tierney, Randolph, Blowy, Lee, Modalisi, Kavanewski, Kowalski, Mintz, Tobin, Provider, Spader Jr., and Hudak. Chief Court Administrator Patrick Carroll III. Appellate Court Judges Flynn, Avor, D.P. Tinema. Attorney General William Tong. Court Committee, Stephen Conover, William Lasco, Liam Burke, Atlas Appraisal Group, the appraisal guy Rocco, City Mortgage, John R. James, Linda Dominguez, Mancini Sign Company, who makes a lot of money off of those signs. They put up 12 different signs at my house at $375 a pop. You figure it out. John Hall, who's the lawyer representing one of the first buyers, the strawman buyers of LD Property, David Chen, Lee Ong, David Vichia, the clerks, Amy Mellish-Vila, Megan McCaffrey, Nadine Lesperance, Jonathan Bubar, Rhonda Andrews, Elizabeth Hayes. Let's see, lawyers, and some of these guys are some of the greatest of the constructs. McCullough Raymer lawyers, Jeffrey Milne. He's a kingpin. He's one of the great designers of the racketeering with Chief Justice Rogers. Christopher Picard, Peter Ventry, Jeffrey Schuler, Joseph Denai, Benjamin Stankiewicz, Victoria Friselli, Christina Toronto. Housing clerk, Attorney Edmund O'Garo. U.S. Marshal, who's refused to execute the Young Doctrine. His name is Matt Parker. State Farm Insurance Agent, Sorabel Holquin. Turnkey Realty Group, Anthony Sirocco Jr., Stephen Melee. CSC Holdings, that's your Cablevision guys, because they came on the property. That's Matthew Grover. Ravis Realtors, Ted Sibilia. Oh, another attorney, Michael Goldman of Goldman Grutter. The new complicit buyer, Thomas Luthi. Norwalk Police Department, all the various officers, including Chief Thomas Kahalwick, who's no longer there, he retired. The new chief, James Walsh. Lieutenant Thomas Frasinski, Sergeant Tom Fern. State Marshal Alan Friedman. A state marshal supposed to be a peace officer. He showed up at my house armed. He was the first one. William Kemp. He's the second one who executed the arrest, which is illegal because he's a government official and has no claim to the property, so it's a false arrest, and he's in deep, deep trouble. But gets better. When he did his little foreclosure routine and all this stuff, he had an impersonator named Don Fortunato. Now, that's important because the state marshals are all under Governor Lamont. Okay, so we'll get there to that too. Norwalk Health Department, Adrian Leahy, because he didn't even know where they sent all my stuff that they ripped out of the house. Third taxing district, Electric, because I told them if they hook up the power for somebody else besides myself, they will be sued. Ronald Schofield. Governor Ned Lamont. Norwalk Mayor Harry Rilling, and Norwalk Town Clerk Richard McQuaid, because they've stolen my identity. They've altered my tax records, where they've made the straw man buyer paying my taxes of $35,000 a year since 2012. Okay, that's how much my taxes have been, $35,000 to $40,000 a year. You guys figure that out. I lived there 28 and a half years.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't at least get some sort of something.
Yeah.
So anyway, they don't like me because, see, I'm playing outside their system, and all these judges. Now, a lot of people that may be listening to this are saying, "Oh, this is crazy," whatever. Guess what? None of the judges are charging me with vexatious lawsuits or, he's crazy or this or anything else. They do not want me to have a trial by jury. They've been delaying this in every which way because when they did this act of charging me criminally, it's now a trial by jury, and I get to bring everything in.
This whole declaration of emergency that the state is desperately clinging to for these federal funds and everything, and how it has affected trial by jury so profoundly here. They just ceased to exist due to a word that I'm not even going to use on this channel, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. Last 3 years, right?
Yep.
They got everybody, no one could go into any of our buildings here, right? And they're still restricting certain things. Like you can call Department of Revenue Service or certain.
You're even getting into, listen.
I'm just saying you get the automated message like, oh, we're still in the midst of all of that. I would have to suspect that the judicial might actually be playing a heavier role than anyone's ever even pondered in regard to why certain things are still inaccessible to the public. For example, trial by jury. There's room for speculation there is all I'm saying.
I also want people to understand something. Trial by jury is incredibly powerful. See, in common law, trial by jury becomes the law of the land. So in other words, when somebody makes a decision in a trial by jury here, it has full impact on Minnesota. This is the law. Trial by jury is as higher than any judge's decision or anything else. It is the law. And it's trial by jury is how even legislative statutes can be changed completely overnight by the judgment of a trial by jury.
Mm-hmm. It's our most valuable tool.
This is the power of the people that they don't get.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very significant. But anyway, that's my story right now, and that's where things are. I find it amazing that I've got to go back down and try to file a habeas corpus to arrest all these guys. I have quite a few in there already, and nobody's heard them, which, by the way, you're supposed to be heard instantly with those. So those are all felonies. And it's like they don't care about our rights. We're completely lawless.
Mm-hmm. Rogue government, rogue judicial, rogue representation. It all seems to be smoke and mirrors at the end of the day, at our expense and that of the future of our children and our grandchildren and everything that's been fought for here already. I mean,
somebody wrote in here, this fight has been going on for a long time. Yeah, this fight, everybody's been doing this. I want to tell everybody, I think everybody's approached this, and I don't mean to be insulting, the wrong way. See, everybody's been trying to win over judges or play with the lawyers and stuff and everything. Listen, this is a giant clubhouse. You bitch about a judge and they want you, you know what you're going to do? I want you to go complain to the Judicial Review Committee. Oh, and you go to the Judicial Review Committee and like, who makes up the Judicial Review Committee? Judges. Oh, really?
The
So
very
that's
judges you're investigating.
yes. And then, or the best is, you should write a letter to the bar. Oh, really? So you mean the lawyers that are buddies with the lawyer? Or guess what? You know, this litigation privilege thing, which means they can lie no matter what. Yeah, listen, if you have a guy that has a case and somebody comes to him behind closed doors and says, listen, I'll pay you $750,000 and I need you to lie. Okay. And the guy goes, oh, okay. And takes the 750. Now you're probably going to, get suspended for 6 months. It's all right. I'm going on vacation with my 750.
Have a nice time.
It's just the clubhouse rules and games.
The state and the media go on damage control for all these people.
It's ridiculous. That's why the only check on it is us, the people, trial by jury, take it outside. So guess what, judges? You're under arrest. You've committed felonies. You've breached so many administrative violations, you have no immunity. See, that's their Achilles heel. They don't do their administrative duty. You're out. One of my favorite is, you want to get them in a violation of administrative duty? File a motion for disqualification. They'll deny it. That's what they'll do. They'll deny it. They will deny their own motion for disqualification. That is an administrative violation. You can't be judge and jury of your own trial. Dude, you have to have some other judge hear that and then determine whether you can stay in your seat or not. So the minute they do that, it's like, oh, Administrative Procedures Act, you're under arrest.
And there you have it, folks. I mean, you could see we got serious problems out here in Connecticut. Serious. And it's up to us to be the checks and balance. It's
and listen, this isn't just about Connecticut. In case you guys haven't figured this out in a macro sense, Connecticut, the Constitution state, is the state, and I would even suggest this ties to Yale Law School, not to insult any of those Yale lawyers, but if you want to get
you mean that secret society they call a university?
Debate with me, I'd be more than happy to. But every single major issue that's very significant seems to play out in Connecticut, the Constitution state. And let me give you two examples just recently. Those things about the First Amendment, what is that thing? That First Amendment is kind of important. What's it about? Oh, I don't know, freedom of speech and stuff. And what do we have? We have the clown show Alex Jones trial here. And that was the biggest gong show trial. I don't care if it was Adolf Hitler up there. That was such a joke. He had not a chance. It was an absolute farce, Alex Jones. And guess what? Why did that play that way? Because Connecticut wants to take that stuff away. Commie Connecticut wants to make that the way it is across the country.
Communists have a major stronghold in this state.
Number two, and I say this humbly, as a survivor of 9/11, Cantor Fitzgerald partner to all the Sandy Hook families, they levered your situation to take out gun rights and wipe out Remington Arms. Remington Arms was the oldest manufacturer in the country. And by the way, guns don't kill people. People kill people. I don't own a gun. Don't own one. My father was a marksman. I grew up with guns all around. He was off the chart. The reason I don't shoot, because you go to the gun club and, hey, Dave Pritchard, look at, hey, can you sight my gun? Shoot, bang, 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 bang. I hate them, right? But nonetheless,
the state wanted you to own a gun so badly, badly. They were like salivating. I think some of the local law enforcement had hard-ons for you, man.
Oh yeah, they came in there because of all my. I'm sure they've listened into phone calls and they know that I know all these Navy SEALs and all these dudes, and they thought, They thought that they were going to come into like an arsenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, you dummies. Anyway,
It explains their retaliatory behavior. I mean, you're making them feel like fools, and
well, this stuff has got to stop. And
I know.
this is the people need to understand that you have the authority. You stand in the jurisdiction of the U.S. Constitution. State your jurisdiction. Those are your rights. You don't listen to their little practice book. It's a practice book of rules. A practice book of rules. But you know, give me a break. Like, make sure you hang up your coat before you take your boots off. It's snow day. You know, give me a break.
Right. Do it in the wrong order. You might just get thrown in jail for 30 days.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to thank everyone for their time, but
I'm going to let this audio play out just in case there's anyone who wanted to hear the rest of the audio. I think Andy and I will be done for the evening. I'll cut the live when the audio is over. On the community page of my YouTube channel, I will post a link for you to download the scanner audio associated with August the 29th incident. I think that'll go well into the playlist in the archive we have of documentation here on Tyrant Slayer Studios associated with your case. We'll put up the April 7th incident as well, and people can download it and listen to it at their leisure because you can compare that with the police report. I know there's some smart guys and some journalists out there watching. You guys can pull your own information, do your own FOIA requests, and look into it yourself. Rally in support behind this innocent man and help him and his family set a legal precedence that will sweep across this nation and put a stop to this judicial corruption. Like, come on, man, let's do it. Let's get behind him. Let's get behind each other for a change, right? Like,
absolutely.
What are we waiting for, really? Like, what? Do we need a pop star icon to tell you? Like, what do we need? What are we missing other than each other's unity and love and compassion for one another? Come on, man. Where's the compassion for this man and this innocent family? Where is it? Let's show them where it is. Let's put it where our mouth is. Let's put it where our minds are and work together to kind of give him the exposure and everything that corporate media will absolutely refuse to provide, that his state and local representatives will never give him the time to relish. You know, let's help him help himself and help the rest of us together. And then at the end of the day, when we're all successful, we could really be proud of a real accomplishment that will really be historical. And you can be a part of history. We can all be a part of history that matters. Write something good down in those books for a change, shall we?
Thank you.
All right. Andy, I love you, man. Keep the faith. God bless. Looking forward to more follow-ups. Get with the family. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Ciao now. All right. So we got the rest of this audio we're going to play out, and Andy and I are calling it. When the audio is over, I'll end the live stream. I got to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Let me scroll through and give the appropriate mentions. Tommy2274, always a pleasure. John Denicola, always a pleasure. I see you out and about in the community. I love the support that you offer the independent journalists, the activists, and the people out there risking their lives, literally, to one degree or another, to just create transparency and open dialogues of civil discourse and rational discussion. You know, always nice to see you being a part of it all, especially when you're here. Christopher, always a pleasure. I love that name, man. I saw your comment about the legalization of cannabis here in Connecticut. Bravissimo, but I gotta tell you, it's been legalized for all the wrong reasons. There is a huge and very disgusting monopoly behind it. In fact, I was this close to calling the Department of Consumer Protection and in creating an entire series here on Tyrant Slayer Studios about the nightmare that it really is going to be, specifically as it kind of progresses out of the infant stages of where it's at now, and the false DUI charges start coming out left and right. You know, people are going to be charged with DUI because the cop doesn't like the way you're talking to them, or you're refusing to roll down your window, but you've given them your license, registration, and insurance, and they got everything they need to give you a ticket, but you're not obeying their every illegitimate, unlawful directive, and they get mad, and they'll just pull you out of your car, charge you with DUI, throw you in jail, because that's what their careers depend on. All that money, all that equity, all of that injustice, all of the problems, all of the redundancies. It's all about money, man. There's a police state here in Connecticut. There's a huge apparatus around cannabis, not just in the legal world and in the judicial world, but in the business industries. It's not legalized cannabis here in Connecticut. It's what do they call it? There's a specific title, and don't quote me. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it's basically equitable equitable cannabis something. Like, there's not a single dispensary in the state of Connecticut that is owned by a white European descendant, an Asian, someone of Middle Eastern descent. All of the only people allowed to own a dispensary are African Americans here in the state of Connecticut. This is all about redistributing things, and it's social justice, and the people who are actually making this industry possible, who have put all of their chips in years ago, trying to get at this table that they knew would eventually be here, getting their licenses and things. Just to be at that table of discussion was like $200,000 for some of these people way back before it was even decriminalized, or shortly after decriminalization. It's still illegal, and they're getting shafted. The costs of what it costs to be a grower, the licensing, the insurance, the where you can grow, how much you can grow, who can sell, and where you can sell. And all of the dispensaries here in Connecticut are in the worst places of Connecticut. It's like they want to start printing false press stories here in the newspapers, like in The Day, a communist rag, right? Or in the Hartford Courant, filled with socialist drivel and pro-Marxist crap day in and day out, right? They want to publish, business is booming over in Manchester, Connecticut again. Or business is booming in Willimantic, Willimantic, Connecticut, where people are dancing and having fun. Come out to the street festivals every third Thursday. The dispensaries are really booming up that revenue. It's the same thing they do with the affordable with Section 8 housing and stuff. Like, say someone really needs some help. They're in a foreclosure situation for one reason or another, and it's legitimate, and they lose their house, and they need some temporary relief, and their job is in the valley, right? But the only place in the state's like, oh yeah, we'll give you qualify for this much. We'll pay up to $1,500 a month in rent for you with heat and everything. Okay, cool. I got an apartment here that's only $900 a month for rent, and I don't even need to leave town. They're like, oh no. You can't do that. That makes too much sense. That would leave you 2 miles away from work, keep you in the same town, keep your kids in the same school and stuff. We can't do that. We need to uproot you, your whole family, and put you in this dump in this city that's been bankrupt for decades by Democrat policies. We need to set you up here so that we can write in the paper that our economy out here is doing good again, and that people are moving to Vernon, Connecticut. Or to New Britain, or to Danbury, or to Bridgeport. There will be a dispensary in all the places no one wants to go to. I don't understand it. But anyway, I digress. Let's try to get through this. I could go on about that. That's a whole nother show. Hi from Manchester, Connecticut, the Waz. Always a pleasure. My man, host. Oh, that's me. Mary Bagnashi, thank you. Tarad Gaviskar, thank you, sir, for being here. Cajun Randy, there's another familiar name. Thank you, sir. Exist Extinct, thank you, sir. We knock on lots of wood. Let's see. I don't think I missed anyone. Geoffrey, thank you. Good evening to you, sir. All right, we're going to dive back into the scanner audio. Stay tuned for that. I'll check in, say one last farewell, and I'll check you guys out next time. So here, let's get this right in here.
Roger. Headquarters to all units heading to 9 Sylvester, staged by Gregory and Fitz, total 45. All right.
7 Bravo, Roger.
Yeah, wait until you hear the nonsense. This is going to be the most
2B, Roger.
bizarre radio communications you've heard in a long time. Like, they are such...
7 Alpha headquarters. 7 Alpha. I'll be code 18 on a 1. Roger, 7 Alpha.
SU-1 to headquarters on a 31. SU-1. It's going to be west of Garner, Connecticut, Alpha Charlie 06591, Connecticut AC 06591, 5x5. SU-1, Roger.
Roger.
SE1 no hits, but it's expired from 2019. 2013 Dodge Charger called gray to an Anthony Pryor, 28 MLK City. Got it. Two Deltas out, Gregory, if it's
2 Delta.
45 is out, Gregory 5th for now.
45, roger.
Two Bravo is out of Gregory 5th.
2 Bravo, roger.
One Bravo, Cody team.
1 Bravo, roger.
Charlie, stepping out.
1 Charlie, roger.
Uh, 45 to HQ. We're going to proceed down to Sylvester Court.
Roger, 45.
Anything to show us all out?
Roger.
HQ.
Go ahead.
Can you get a status on Sylvester, please?
Roger.
Right now, we're talking to the 44. We believe the suspect is in the house next to us with a friend, so we're going to make contact in a second. Try and get more info. Thank you. Headquarters 7 Alpha on property damage.
7 Alpha 9th Street.
318 Strawberry Hill American Auto Body made contact with Jeff. He's got a video of 20 spray painting, some derogatory comments on his business.
Roger.
Charlie 36.
1 Charlie, go ahead.
Alpha Sierra 57954.
headquarters to 1 Charlie. Alpha Sierra 57954 expires in 2025, comes back to a 2009 Toyota Prius color gray to a Bridget Pritchard, 9 Sylvester Court, City, NCIC negative.
Roger, you got that on a Prius?
Affirmative, a gray Prius.
Okay.
M331 REI, Connecticut, Alpha Romeo 90755.
Roger. M3 Alpha Romeo 90755 shows suspended for insurance 03 Toyota Sienna color gray to a Frank Atkinson out of Bridgeport.